Hello, my name is Andrew Hibinger. I'm a pre-dental student at Bowling Green State University. The title of my research is Manual Dexterity, New Perspectives on Dentistry. The faculty overseeing my project was Tom Muir, found in the School of Art, and the professor of the Jewelry and Metals Lab, in addition to Amy Wagner, who's found in the Pre-Health Department at Bowling Green. It is pretty easy to understand that having good hand dexterity and hand-eye coordination are essential skills found in dentistry. In my research, I sought to identify the similarities that can be tied to the metal casting process and dental practices used daily in nearly all offices through the exploration of jewelry and metal making, with a focus on effort and time devoted to the repeated processes of creation and finishing tooth-shaped metal rings. An understanding of this relationship can be further understood. First shaped from wax, then casted with silver metal, realistic tooth-shaped rings can be created with a correlation to improved manual dexterity. Psychomotor skills are associated to be one of the most significant factors affecting dental performance in and after dental school. They are required skills used to perform tasks such as jewelry and making, and practices of these skills are complementary in nature to observing improvements in both performance and efficiency, touching on new perspectives of manual dexterity and its relationship to dentistry. More specifically, I wanted to conduct research to answer these two research questions. How closely does working with metals and jewelry relate to dental practices? And what improvements in manual dexterity and timely production of a wax model will be observed upon repeated efforts of creating teeth-shaped rings? I plan to focus on efficiency, time, and the finished product itself. I believed that my research would create a better understanding of how dental and medical students could prepare for dental school prior to attendance at BGSU and beyond. In the past, there have been a number of studies conducted as researchers attempt to determine the relative significance of manual dexterity in professional fields of dentistry and health. Many of these studies provide helpful insight into the connection between having excellent manual dexterity, psychomotor skills, and hand-eye coordination on a basic level. Many pieces of literature deem manual dexterity to be a crucial skill of dentistry. However, it is rarely found in undergraduate curriculum. One study claimed that dexterity is the core of these skills. However, differences arise in the results of the researchers on the necessary use of gaining these skills prior to attending dental school. Other studies correlate poor results on psychomotor tests to a lack of participation of these activities prior to dental school, stressing the importance of hobbies like jewelry making and other manual dexterity improving activities. Due to the vigorous coursework of dental school, improving dexterity prior to dental school attendance is highly recommended to better adapt to manual practices. Some even go a step further to state that a manual dexterity test should be implemented into the admissions process in order to better gauge the success of students in dental school. Fortunately, some universities do offer jewelry and metals courses with the potential of improving manual dexterity through processes related to dental and medical professions. Although they are not a curriculum requirement in many cases, the use of jewelry making to improve psychomotor skills is not new. Jewelry tools have been used in preclinical laboratories to analyze dexterity, resulting in another positive correlation of wire bending to dexterity skills. Besides determining the significance of familiarizing oneself with activities affecting manual dexterity, I thought it was important to consider the symbolic meaning of jewelry made of teeth in prehistoric and present times. Many recent discoveries of prehistoric tribes wearing both human and animal teeth as pendants and jewelry opens the conversation about the significance of such pieces. Recent discoveries have led archaeologists to believe that the use of human teeth as pendants and jewelry is not as rare as perceived. Many reports have found teeth used as jewelry in European Middle and Upper Paleolithic, as well as Near East of Gatoy, Turkey. These findings are dated during the subsequent Mesolithic, Neolithic, and Capitolithic periods. Within these areas of high archaeological findings, Over 31 separate discoveries have identified the use of human teeth or bone for ornamental or symbolic reasons. In a comprehensive study of over 1,200 pendulants, composed of animal teeth in nearly 80 archaeological sites, two researchers identified the symbolic significance of these pendulants reflecting status and relationship. Other pendulants were speculated to represent power, intimidation, and having religious value. Preparing these pendulants in ways very similar to the discovery found in Turkey and presumed to have symbolic meaning to the wearer. Additionally, intentional drilling observed in the two recent teeth uncovered in Turkey provide evidence of the seemingly unlikely wearing of these pieces as simply being decorative jewelry, but rather having significance to the wearer. The transformative process began by carving away the negative space surrounding my desired tooth ring shape from a flat-topped wax tube. This subtractive process is executed with half-round wax files to give the rough dimensions of the tooth ring. Eventually, smaller flat and round files were used to allow for greater precision. Once the general outline of my ring was created, precision micro-curving tools and old dental equipment were used to form the realistic structure of a tooth. This part is really cool because you can actually use dental equipment that is used in regular offices, but they've been either broken or just gotten old and they retired them to the lab to use. The three-dimensional meandering roots of the ring were then shaped to hug the finger. Following this, detailing at a surgical level, the root's body and top of the tooth was shaped from what was previously a solid block of wax. This process takes the most time because it is important for accurate detailing prior to casting the rings. Efficiency of shaping the rings, time devoted towards carving, and the process struggles are noted during this phase of the casting process. Then the wax is then attached to sprues in an investment cylinder sprue former, resembling a wax tree which will later give way for the flow of molten silver. The UltraVest jewelry investment application instructions must then be followed very precisely to create the proper ration of water to powder ratio to form the hardened liquid investment poured over the rings in the investment cylinder. Upon hardening, the wax and sprues are burned out, creating the hollowed ring formation cemented inside the cylinder. Next, silver metal is melted and injected into the mold, creating the ring. Following this process is cleaning and finishing the piece with various sandpaper grades and the use of a mandrill, which is basically just a high-speed handheld drill, to complete the engraving of the tooth surfaces and polishing, thus giving an appearance of a real tooth and repeated as many times as necessary. In my research, I did the one previous semester and then two this semester. The silver casted ring was my first ring done the semester of 2019 at Bowling Green State University in the Jewelry and Metals Course 1. This is the only ring that has been able to be casted thus far because the push of the spring semester to remote learning extinguished the ability of getting into the art studio this semester. Therefore, only the wax carving process of the casting process altogether is able to be analyzed in the comparison of the three tooth ring models. The effects of COVID-19 to my research has been very detrimental, as I'm sure it has been to much of the research this semester. However, plans have been made to cast the other two rings, although it will not be done until the summer of 2020. Still, these processes may be compared in great detail, demonstrating an increase in efficiency and decrease in time devoted to each piece, positively correlating to an increase in manual dexterity by repeated efforts in creating tooth-shaped rings. Ring 1, shown there, the silver casted one, used as kind of a control, took nearly 3 full class sessions to complete, totaling roughly 11 hours of work devoted to just the wax carving process, which is what you'll see in the next couple ones. As my first interaction with metal materials, many struggles arose, resulting in continuously adding new wax to the model. However, the model was still not finished to a great deal of perfection, resulting in many more hours required to smooth the piece for the finished product. Ring 2 was my second effort of creating a tooth-shaped ring, and it went much more smoothly. Not only were there less mistakes made, it only took a total of 3 hours to finish the wax model. Completed in less than desirable conditions at home, rather than the studio, and limited tools, efficiency was still greatly increased. Again, that was due to the effects of COVID-19. My results also observed more comfortability in carving the way of the narrower roots and increased groove structure on the top of the molar tooth. Although it's hard to see, the roots hugging the finger are probably about a fourth of the size as they were in the previous one. Ring 3 was my third effort, and it went even more smoothly than expected as well. This ring took less than 2 hours to finish the carving process from start to finish. Additionally, this ring has 3 root tips, requiring more detail of using tools to reach tighter spaces. Efficiency greatly increased through repeated tooth ring creation efforts. Observed in the finished wax product resembling a realistic tooth and greatly increased speed, seeing the time devoted to each ring during the carving process of the casting process. Upon a third effort, roughly 1/6 the amount of time was necessary to create a piece with more intricate structures. Furthermore, only a few errors were made in the creation of Ring 2, and 0 were made in the creation of Ring 3. Originally, Tom Muir intended to oversee the entire project, including casting both new rings. However, the effects of COVID-19 greatly altered this process of his observation and reference checkpoints at various stages throughout the research. Close communication by phone has still made this possible, though. In regards to the actual casting process, there are many observable similarities to the daily practices of dentists working in the office. For example, the entire process of carving teeth from a wax block is done in just a few minutes by the very expensive CURS machines. Once uncommon, these machines have been very crucial in the daily operations of offices to create crowns. Just a few years ago, molds would have been taken and sent to dental labs, followed by weeks of waiting before calling the patient back to replace the temporary crown that the dentist put in there for the permanent one that had finally come in. In addition, the mandrel used to add the finishing touches of detail on the top of the tooth greatly resembles a high-speed dental drill. This is one of the most commonly used tools in dental procedures. It is often used to shape the tooth structure of a crown to fit perfectly into the patient's mouth, similar to how it was used in the studio. An undeniable improvement in manual dexterity and hand-eye coordination is still observed despite major alterations in the original project proposal, based on the assumption that I would have close contact with the metals and jewelry studio, as well as Tom Muir. Through the direct use of these practices to actually shape teeth, I had become immensely more comfortable not only working with tiny objects, but with the teeth themselves. There are many other ways to increase manual dexterity as well. Outside of the metals and jewelry studio, activities requiring hand skills or coordination like playing musical instruments, video games, or sports. Putting aside many studies positively correlating improved manual dexterity to better dental practices and performances, increased use of manual activities can lead to better psychomotor skills, efficiency, and timeliness. Who wants their dentist to do poor work or even have their hands inside their mouth for longer than necessary? The answer is no one. Getting a head start on improving dexterity can lead to a better performance and less stress during dental school, which many know is already very overwhelming. Thank you very much for listening to my research. Feel free to email me with any questions. I will gladly answer them. Have a great day.